being able to have moments like this, we're able to listen. And so I really appreciate moments like that.
Right. And people, I end up meeting people and listening to artists that I would just never really have a chance to talk to at an opening, or, you know, 2 minutes max.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's wonderful.
Yeah, so I just think we just start kind of a little officially, and just say hello to everybody who's joining us tonight, and just want to say that I'm very grateful to do these artist talks, and thanks to Gloria that she enabled us and the show and everything. I mean, she put so much work in this whole show. I mean, it's really wonderful. And then I would say, Jadie, let's start with you. How you got in touch with Gloria, or she with you, and we learned that everybody got photos from her, and you, in a way, you didn't know what they were about, but you just took them or you chose a photo and did something with it. So how was the process?
Well, I met Gloria at Lehman College some time ago. I modeled for her, which again was a privilege because he's such an amazing photographer with such an amazing vision with all the people that she meets. You know, she's able to give people a vision and give them the liberty to also have their style and their story in it. And so for that collaboration to happen each and every time that she crosses paths with other artists is so authentic to, you know, the element of narrative and storytelling for each and every background, for each and every person that she meets. And so it was already kind of like a given that, you know, when she told me, she came up to me, she's like, so I have this idea for this show and I want to curate it. And, you know, I want you to be part of it with other artists. And from the very moment that she started just, you know, getting this to arise, for me to even see that happening, for even to rise and to be birthed, from the moment that it was an idea, you know, I was there, and such an honor to be able to talk about it right now in this platform. And so, you know, just like you said, we were just given pictures from her own visit to her own hometown, from her island in Honduras. And that was so touching for me because I also come from, you know, an immigrant background. I'm from Dominican Republic. And so seeing her pictures just touched me and ignited and inspired me, because I came from poverty, from an island, from the same landscape that she was showing. And so I just clicked. And I said, yes, I need to paint these things because it reminds me of home.
Great. So you were born in the U.S., or do you when you say Dominican Republic?
So I was born there, and I came here when I was 10 years old. So and then I became a citizen like 2 years ago.
So you really have child experience, right? Okay, no wonder, yeah. And what let you pick your sujet? What let you pick what you picked, the photo?
So we have a photo of three of them, right? One of them is of that house because it reminds me of like the rural landscape in DR, and so it's quite the same. Honduras and DR quite the same, like it having to do with that rural landscape. I love the trees and stuff like that. I just love being able to paint nature in and of itself. I love just that memory, that distant memory. One of them, so in mi memoria, in my memories, reminds me of, in my memories, in my dreams, really, a lot of when I think of home, it just seems like a mirage to me at times, because I just remember it in dreams. I remember it like it's so far away, even though it's me, even though it's my person, you know, it's who I am. And then the other two paintings that I picked, Fisher of Men as well as La Barca, is this picture that she had with a lone boat that seemed abandoned, and another one is of a fisherman just in plain sight, with not with the she of it, but with the background, with the foliage. And I picked it because, you know, I thought of Jesus. I thought of this biblical story of fishermen, and that God went in and he got a bunch of fishermen to follow him, and he said, you will no longer be, you know, fishermen, but fisher of men. And so that seems so reminiscent to me, because I painted these paintings at my church, and it was just the process of it. The first one I painted right in front of Gloria, and the second one I painted in front of a lot of my own family at church. They all saw the process of it. You know, it was a circumstance in which I think one of the kids touched the painting that I was working on, the very last one, the one with all the colors in the sea. And I went back. It's in the section where everybody goes to eat, where everybody shares, and we get all this food right after service. And so there's a bunch of family members there and kids that go there and run around, and it's so amazing. But then I'm painting in that same area, and one of the kids just, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I have to somehow work around it because it dried even before I could even get to it. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, let me work with this. Let me get meaning out of this, because I'm surrounded by my community and by my family who loves me so much. And, you know, from painting something alone to being watched and then to do it in community, the whole process of each and every painting had so much meaning, and it just touched my soul.
So, and Anjl, what is your approach? What was your approach to Gloria, and also, you know, what led you pick which photo was attracted you, and you know, what was the process with you?
So when I was approached by Gloria, you know, and she mentioned that she had this plan and this idea that she was going to curate the show and her own photographs from her own country where she grew up and came from in Honduras. I said, wow, you know, it's an honor. I feel like just Gloria as a person, as, you know, an artist, as a photographer, as a visionary, she's so, as Jadie mentioned, you know, she's so genuine, and, you know, her love and her expression, you know, you see it in her art, in her photographs. And I said, wow, this is an honor. I saw the photo that of this woman, her child. Background noise here. There's a window I haven't been able to shut in the studio. So when I saw this photo, I said, this is love that I see in the photo, and I just wanted to express that. I said I love to paint that, although, you know, it can be quite a challenge to, I guess, the kind of style that I've been painting portraits is, you know, it can be a real challenge, because I really want it to come out right. And so I said, well, I'm going to attempt this, and I'm going to do my best job, because, you know, I could feel the love and the joy that was expressed in that photo. And I said, wow, you know, I'm humbled to be a part of this. I really, and I feel that the community that is being built by, you know, this movement that Gloria has created, you know, it brings us together as a community. You know, if you're wherever you're based, I think this is what we need, as, you know, for me specifically as an artist, and to meet the other artists that are also part of this journey. I feel like it's a journey that, you know, now we've, you know, can grow stronger and build our community on that. And I hope that, you know, I can only imagine, because I have not been to Honduras, but I know that it, you know, the community, you know, like everywhere, we're all going through a difficult time right now. So, you know, I hope that, you know, our expression can be felt there. That's, you know, that's the goal.
Absolutely.
So it's very, very honored to be a part, and I feel like all the artists that have, you know, I've kind of seen their work throughout this show, it's really impressive. Gloria's work, and just, you know, her spirit. It's it's so special. So I'm grateful, you know, to kind of contribute work into that movement.
Great.
Yeah, what I find kind of, I mean, today is our 4th artist talk, and to see really how like the signature of every artist working with the photos that Gloria gave all of you, and this is the outcome is very exciting because you know, it's one person who gives the photos, and what really comes out of it is really a huge variety of wonderful art that all captures the spirit that these photos have, and but with your own signature. I mean, you can very well see that this is the handwriting of each artist, and yeah, I just more and more feel sorry that we didn't have a real opening here, because I think you would have had a ball just also meeting each other. And we had one artist who said, oh, I also, you know, wanted to know why, you know, why this artist got those photos and I got those photos, you know, to pick from. And so I think that would have been very interesting for you, you know, to see who picked which photo and for what reason, you know, and talk about it in reality. That's, I can feel sorry for that we can't really do that. I mean, it's just unfortunate.
I mean, honestly, not to cut you off, Selena, I think like when all the artists picked their photo, I kind of already felt like they would pick those photos because of their artwork and how they do a lot of their own work. So, but I'm pretty surprised with some artists due to the fact that I'm so used to seeing them do murals and spray painting. So when I see Anjl or BG or Olga, there was a few that I was just like, oh, I didn't know that you can do that, you know. And because when I met Anjl, I met through spray painting. You know, so I remember that, and I was just like, well, I didn't even know that she was even into painting. You know, because I don't think I've ever seen most of a painting work. I've seen a lot of spray painting murals that you've done, and when it came to Jday, it was just like, well, I've seen her paint, and I've seen her do other paintings and portraits of herself. So I'm like, if she can do that, she could definitely do a house. You know, but yeah, and for her to go and say, oh, I want to do 2 or 3, I'm like, okay, I mean, knock yourself out, that's what you want to do, you know. But it's great to know that my photographs inspire in order for it to be painted and, you know, be recreated, but in their own way. So I'm glad that it comes together and everyone actually tells a story. I mean, everyone's artwork is beautiful, but everyone actually works together, like with the mediums and stories that you're telling.
I just wanted to ask you, Gloria, did every artist get the same photos, or did you in a way push the exhibition already into a direction, or gave artists different photos? Because did you select photos, or did every artist have the same, let's say 5 or 6 photos or 10 photos to pick from?
Well, I had a folder, so it's a selection. It's a folder with a bunch of photographs. They really selected what they wanted. They wanted 1, they wanted 2. It was whatever they wanted, and then I'll take it out the folder, and then I move on from there. It was I took probably like 2 folders of 2,000 photos of that trip, but I did bring it down to like 20 selectives of portraits and landscapes and stuff of that artists will look at and be like, oh, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in that. So yeah, there's plenty of more, meaning it could be like Memorias, Arte 3, 4, 5 with all these photographs, but of if it came to more of the Honduran trip that I had, but that's not what I want to do. So these was like the set in stone. images.
Right, right. Sure. Yeah, so I'm interested to know, what is your work like, your other work, what you're involved in now, and either one of you could go first, whichever, Crisselle or.
No, Jday, you want to answer?
Please repeat that one more time.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's Jay. Okay, this is somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes, that's okay. Somebody else is here. Right. Jady.
Crisselle is our guest, Linda.
Curious
My
about
mom is watching.
what you're involved in now in your artwork, or what's your usual direction?
So I'm doing quite a few things at this very moment that I've been so privileged and honored, to be doing. For example, right now I'm working at a supermarket by God's grace. And so, I'm an essential. I get to go out there, I get to meet people and stuff like that. I still have a job while, I'm working and I'm making art and stuff like that. Right now, one thing that I've been doing is taking pictures of gates and doors and people, because I want to paint this vision of kind of like this entrance in and of itself. I want to paint, people's souls. Really, I want this idea of heaven, really. And for me, it's like when I see a lot of people together entering into places, either marching together, either going into certain places, it feels like what heaven will feel like, or that feeling of welcomeness. And so right now I'm just taking pictures, I'm working, I sing and I songwrite. So I actually host an open mic in Queens, and right now we're doing it live through our church on Instagram. So we're just getting to meet a lot of people in and of itself, and create shows, give people a platform to speak, to sing, to rap. And it's so amazing to be able to do that in and of itself. And I guess in my art direction, I'm able to branch out in the many talents that I've been, honored enough to have. So that's what's happening with me right now.
Great. Wow. Essential worker. Whoa. Right on the line. Yeah, boy, I think about you folks.
It's an honor, and I'm humbled to be out there.
Yeah.
Oh, why?
Well, it has two sides, I guess. You've got a regular income. Did they give you a plastic shield in front of where your register? They
Yes, we do. We got that. We got to wear masks. Regular people probably have to wear masks like for 2, maybe 3 hours a day. We have to wear them for 8 hours plus. So it's kind of like now it's just there. It doesn't even feel like it's there.
Yes, right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anjl, do you want to answer Linda's question?
Sure.
So hold on one second. I don't know if you're hearing background noise, but every few minutes it's the train go by and the windows open. So sorry about the background noise. Did you say more about like my art background or just in general?
What you're working with right now, but both are interesting.
Work in life. Work in life, basically, right?
Yeah.
So as far as art, I've Gloria, right, I have been doing a lot more murals, and that's kind of what I feel like that was my first thing, I guess, as an artist, learning spray paint, and I guess graffiti was where I first started spraying with cans. And then eventually, after a few years, I started practicing and learning a little bit, with a brush and trying to paint portraits and stuff like that. So as an artist, I enjoy painting a canvas, but to be honest, it takes me a lot more time to do that than it does to paint a mural for that reason. But I am lucky and grateful that I am still working. I do work as, I'm working with a startup company that does disaster recovery work. So I studied sustainability. I'm very passionate about the environment, and I was able to start working with this company last year, and My hours were cut for a little while the past couple months, but now I'm back up, to working regular hours, and I work from home. So I'm very grateful. I was lucky that I started that type of work last year. And so I feel very, very grateful that I'm still able to work, because let's face it, about a year ago, before I started this job, I was a full-time muralist and artist, as far as, and and that's great, amazing. I love to just focus on my passions, but let's face it, as a muralist, when the winter comes, which is like almost half the year, it's cold, painting outside in the cold is just not fun. And it's not that it's just not fun, but it's just dealing with the, Mother Nature elements. Like, you cannot paint when it's raining, stuff like that. So a lot of my murals and projects, things like that, it's very hard to get back. Like a year ago, the winter was a struggle. So I'm grateful that I'm able to kind of like work my kind of 9-to-5 remote type work, whatever hours, and then try to work my artwork around that, whether it's evenings or weekends, so that I can still, and I was doing graffiti workshops as well, as kind of a side job before this, and that's also a lot of fun as a job, because they would organize groups of people, mainly in Bushwick, where I live, and I would do that with a couple of different companies, and that was great, because you work with a group of people for about an hour and show them basic techniques of spray paint, which a lot of people have never used before. So seeing people, whether they do or don't have any artistic, like, background or, kind of, practice, they just seeing them paint and teaching a couple basic skills, although I've never been an art teacher, that's like the closest to it. And I feel like showing that to people is a really rewarding thing. So hopefully this will kind of pick up maybe later in the summer when things start to open again, but everything was canceled from the companies that I was working with, obviously, like most things. So I hope that things will come back, because, that's another thing to do, to share and show people, and workshops. And that's something that, I realized that workshops probably would have happened if we had the ability to do the show in physically.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, we have a good friend who is artistic director of the Point, and they are still, they are doing socially distanced murals, so
Yeah.
they are still,
Nice.
they are,
But they're a not-for-profit.
yeah, right. They are not for profit. That's the difference. But they are doing it because we thought that was an advantage for them, because they are in the air, while we, with the room can't do much for a while, when
Right.
more than 2-3 people, So that's so. What is your background as an artist? What did you go? Art school, not self-taught?
I guess somewhat self-taught. I definitely did start practicing, for many years. I did, worked with spray paint, and I was painting graffiti letters before I did anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I started painting graffiti letters for a few years, and I painted back at 5 Points when that was around, which was an amazing experience to be a part of, and to meet the people, and to just to see and learn. And I learned a lot from artists that I had met there, painted with there. And then I took a couple of classes. So I studied environmental sustainability, because I was really focused on environment. But I never really went to art school. I did study I studied Spanish. That was my major in undergrad. So I ended up traveling a lot and learning, I guess, from artists I met in other places. Like, I studied in Spain, and that's where I really learned to speak Spanish. And then when I came back, took a couple of classes in painting and drawing. And then I realized later, why didn't I actually go to art school? Because maybe I felt like at the time, maybe there's all these other things that, to be practical. And I wasn't sure that, be surviving as an artist was the most practical thing, as, employment or as a job. I never really like knew those possibilities. So maybe I think about like, maybe I should have done that, but I didn't, but it's okay because then I learned and just practiced a lot about, I guess, as far as on painting on like portraits on canvas. And now then I kind of like transfer art on walls to painting more people and in the murals and have that kind of style, which, you know, it's a challenge, but I think that there's so many outlets that people can learn. And, you know, I think, you know, I can't say that I can speak from having the background of like a art school, but I see that people, maybe they don't need to go to art school. Like there's a lot of things that people can learn from others or learn from YouTube even, you know, that you don't have to have that whole degree, but it may be helpful if you want to be a full-time artist as a career. So like I said, it's just depending on where you're coming from, you can learn skills and techniques, you know, without being in that classroom.
Right, right. And by the way, if we'd had this event, a workshop with teaching spray painting, that's what all the kids wanted to do.
Yeah, and the
That's
South
they
Bronx,
tried to
yeah.
teach other things, and boy, they just wanted spray cans. That's what, you know, of course,
Right.
sitting outside on the street too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing like it.
So Jady, what is your background as an artist?
Yeah, to be fair, and I wanted to add on to Anjl said, to be fair, art school is a little overrated. You know, it really has to do, it's not so much about where you go, where you get your degree, and that's something that I had to learn. It's really your experience, you know, as an artist and stuff like that. I went to Lehman College and I got a BFA there last year. Thank God. And I started studying English. Actually, I was an English literature major because I went to teach English. So I minored in education, and I taught high school for 5 years here in the Bronx at several schools. I taught at after-school programs. I taught art, dance. I was the artsy-fartsy teacher, basically, and it was amazing. I joined production. I taught at Celia Cruz High School of Music, as well as Astor Collegiate Academy in Pelham Parkway, and it was awesome. It was awesome to be around kids. It was awesome to be around young people, the youth that wanted to be there. You know, it wasn't just classes. You know, I was a counselor as well as counselor advocate. I had a group of students that I had to keep up with, that I had to check up on monthly. You know, you have the paperwork aspect of it, but then you have the teaching aspect of it, which is just challenging but fun, but so rewarding. And so that was my life, you know. And then I think I was on my last year of graduating as an English major, and I left everything behind. I left everything behind. I remember walking into class one day and you know, thinking, you know, 50 years from now, will I be happy in an office doing this? You know, I knew that I wanted to teach. I knew that I wanted to help. I knew that I wanted to just impact the youth, impact the world in some way. And I love English, but it was not my first love. My first love was art. It was painting. It was that. And so I just remember walking into class with the head of the department one day and just walking out and being told, you can't leave, you can't do this, you can't, blah, blah, blah. You're an English honors major, this is your year that you were graduating. And I said, no, gotta follow my dreams. Basically, like, peace. And I said, deuces. And, you know, after that, it was one of the best decisions in my life, in my career, because I was able to meet Gloria. I was able to experience school. I was able to experience my dreams coming true. I was able to truly hack it in something that I loved so much. That wasn't essentially easy to study, but so rewarding as an experience, as I met other people in the same journey, other people who were struggling to find their language as an artist in their own marksmanship. Really, what stands you out from the next person who's doing the same thing, you know? And people think that art school is so competitive and so like, oh my God, you have to be great at everything and best at everything, but when each and every artist and each and every person has been given a portion of their own and grace of their own, it just really diminishes that idea that, you know, each and everybody has a portion, each and everybody has a thing, a niche. And so there's no competition. You just have to go. And so I learned so much from that journey. And, you know, I got to graduate with such an amazing class of designers, painters, and amazing artists that, you know, my best friend really came from that group. And so it was an amazing experience to know a lot of my professors touched my heart, challenged me, and truly changed the perspective. I went to so many museums here in the city, and museums I still have to go to, really. Now that when this quarantine is over, there's so much to do, so much learning, so much to get back to, and ways to go forward. And so it was an experience, the best experience that I would say.
Oh, super.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My hope is also that when the museums open again, tourists are not there yet.
Yes.
Yes.
We might have some peace.
Yes. That would be, oh yeah. I have a friend who's.
I mean, I think that's everybody. Everybody wants to see these pieces in person and stuff. I mean, I definitely want to see everyone's painting in person. You know, love to see them. But, you know, we have to see how everything goes and stuff. And we can do it again, you know, not virtually.
Or both. Now we have a component. Now we have a component that gets people to see, you know, that gets even reaches out more people.
That's true. Because, I mean, listen, from the compliments you get from your artwork, you know, and it's virtually, and it's only going to be better when they see it up in person. You know, just hold on to those paintings. I mean, that's all I can really say. Yeah. I want to see them. Hold on to those paintings.
Sure. Very good.
You have another question, Linda?
No, I think that was really good, though. It was such fun. I probably know one of the professors, Danielle together. Did you have her at Lehman? I have to get closer, I guess. I don't talk in the mic. Did you have classes with Danielle together?
Yes. I love her so much. She taught me so much. She saw things in me that I was like, what? So having her as a mentor was amazing.
Good.
So gifted.
Great.
Mm-hmm. How do you know her?
Well, we've been in we were showing both of us, each of us, in different shows with No Longer Empty for a while. And so I met her that way, but I often come up to the art exhibits, the openings at Lehman. And so several times I've gone through to see the work, the grad students' work, or whatever is going on. They often have had open studios during those times. It's really fun, really interesting. Yeah, good.
Wow.
It's good to know where you come from too. We had a wonderful, very important show of Dominican art that was about healing the Trujillo years. And I learned more about the Dominican Republic than I ever thought. I mean, I just didn't know anything about it before. And I mean, it was really, really tough and interesting. So yeah. Really,
So I have a question.
yeah.
Would you ladies do another group show, or in the future, I don't know, be in another Memorias Arte, or just in general, like, do you have other shows coming up that you're planning to be involved in?
Oh, we have a whole year's calendar. Sabina will tell you that.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoever wants to go first. No, I speak to Anjl and Jday.
Even I have a couple of questions actually too.
Okay.
Good.
All right, mine's first, Jday.
I got Go ahead. I love you. But
Anjl
unmute
or
yourself.
Jday can go. Go ahead, Anjl. It's all your fault.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, I would love to. You know, I don't actually have any shows coming up that no. So yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to be a part of, if you know, the next time or whenever you have an idea and we have a space to show it. You know, of course, I would love to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, right now we are, I mean, we because we are applying for all these city grants, and we had to make up a whole year of programming and shows. And yeah, I mean, we have to see how it goes. I mean, if all the shows that we have in fall will still come, you know, I don't know. I mean, they are planned. I mean, naturally, the curator and is still hopeful, and so are we. It's just right now, it's kind of looking into the crystal ball the whole time, because we really don't know when we are allowed to have an opening as a gallery. I mean, we might be. I mean, Monday starts the phase #1, then is a phase 2 beginning July, I heard, with hairdressers and, you know, the next step of businesses. I don't hear galleries, you know. I'm always going through these. I don't hear or see culture when it comes, you know, whatever comes officially from Cuomo or de Blasio's side. Regarding us, you know, I don't see a green light coming yet, you know, and I have the feeling that we might be the last who will be able to do what we always did. And as long as we go on like this, it's kind of hard to say what will, will this happen? Yes, no. It's too early. I mean, I will keep you posted.
Yeah.
That's all I can promise. Gloria and I have a very, I mean, now we see each other every day. We have a very intense contact. So I keep her posted, no problem.
I definitely see a show happening and everything being in there, but you know, it all will happen when the time is right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the next year is coming, and yeah, we just have to see what the next time brings, and then we'll decide. But it's really very, very interesting project, because you got all these pieces to line up and really, you know, bring their perspective. And I think people also can learn a lot about Honduras too. Isn't that right, Gloria? I think this is also something, I mean, a country that is not so much in the focus of news. You know, usually you hear, if you hear things of countries that are kind of smaller, in the middle of Latin America, you just hear if something dreadful happens. And I would say, you know, often political or political conflicts, but never, you know, this normal life that your photos show, the people, you know, the joy, the you know, in all its the life in all its colors, you know, that your photos in a way show. And so I think it's really important to
Thank you. I mean, the photograph that Anjl picked is actually both of my cousins. So I believe my little one, she was probably no more than 1 there. So now she's probably, it was 5 years ago, so she's probably like 6 now. But you know, it's different out there. The studying, you know, living out there, you know, and your routine is different from the morning to the evening, and now especially with all this quarantine going on, yeah, it's a huge lockdown out there. Huge lockdown. So yeah, you know, just yesterday you asked me, you know, is there anything, you know, personal photos or anything, and those are also one of them too, because you know they're young, you know, they're young cousins of mine, so I just hope everything is okay with them as well.
Okay. Yeah, right. It's true. Yeah. So yeah,
I have a question.
yeah.
So, you know, some of the next steps for me during, you know, during this quarantine, after just like in the next coming up month, like one of my dreams is to have a community art center, right? To be a director of sorts. And so I've applied for this program called NALAC, right? Which trains the next round of, you know, the next generation of artists on how to run a nonprofit organization. And so, and I'm also applying for this other grant. It's called Capacity Fund Grant, which it's used for parks. It's a partnership in parks. And so I'm looking for other artists to kind of like re-beautify a park here in New York City. We need it so much to put installations and things out there and use our voices. And so I wanted to ask, you know, you're there, you're running an organization, you're part of that team, you know, that helps put things together right behind the scenes for us. And one of my questions is, what is your best piece of advice for someone looking to be in your position to do the things that you do?
You are longer in this.
Well, I never heard about those two programs that you've applied to. So you're doing a good job already. You know, you're like finding out. I didn't know there was
fire.
Train people how to start a not-for-profit. You know, I had another job all my life, and I just did it by the seat of my pants because I knew how to write grants already and stuff like that. But it sounds, I think that's very smart for one thing. The next thing I think you would want to do is volunteer somewhere and really get a sense of what's needed. We would be very happy to have volunteers whenever we're allowed to have humans in here. That's what, you know, I mean, it is challenging to do that. They're not-for-profits now, we're always looking for funds to run it. Like here is to pay the rent and give the director some salary, there's electricity, but then you immediately have to have insurance. And, you know, I mean, there's a whole
overhead. It's the overhead that is kind of the killer for non-profits, you know. It's just when you have, I mean, it's...
I can hardly believe how much MailChimp has figured out how to charge you.
What do you mean by overhead?
Overhead is kind of, I mean, if you have your own room, then it's not only the rent, you know, then you have 3 different kind of insurances that come along with that right away. You just have, I mean, you are doing so much that doesn't have, I mean, giving you an example, when we have an event here, we are in a condo, so, you know, after the event, we have to take care of the trash because that gets recycled and, you know, very well sorted. And we can't let our, the groups that come here and rent, we can't let them do that because they put everything in one bin. And so, you know, this is also part of it. I mean, you are kind of, you're doing everything and nothing. And even if I'm not curating shows, what I try not to do, because I really would like to have other opinion here than mine, it's still, you have to, when curators come in, they have wishes, they have, for good reason, it is just, then comes social media, then you have to see the artwork comes in, the artwork has to go out, you have to see that the artist go, you know, for an artist talk, you invite for that. I mean, it's endless in a way, it's endless. And you can't,
Basically double the work.
Yeah.
you never can't count the hours, you know, and hope that you get paid for all these hours that you work here. I mean, this is, you might get a grant that is really big, and then you might have, you know, things. But what Bronx Art Space did the last years, when they got grants, they also paid the artists, they paid the curators, and they were also able to purchase stuff to, I mean, we have projectors, we host an open mic, we have, you know, you also have this equipment that you also have to get, take care of, and so on. Yeah, $500 worth of LED floodlights. You know, the budget for changing the world. But by the way, always funded or had it in as a part of its program, an open call for curatorial proposals. And
I applied for that, yes, actually.
did apply for it?
Okay.
Yes, I applied for January 2021. I wanted to ask your best advice for someone just starting to curate a show, because I applied for that, and I'm preparing actually.
Okay. Well, what we have done, and you're always welcome to tell us too, that if you would like to get direct feedback about why your proposal got accepted or didn't, you know, we always actually met with people. I think in the previous years, we met with the people who, several people who we thought might get, you know, with those shows we might put on. And no one ever asked for feedback about why not, but one always can, and that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. What do I know that you applied, you know, but I probably saw your proposal. What was it actually?
Always great to have the knowledge.
Well, it was right after its deadline, and I asked if I could still apply, and they said yes, bring in the proposal and stuff like that. So I have to send it out. I just got a yes saying that you would be able to accept it. So I'm rounding up a bunch of artists actually. I wanted to ask, do you encourage artists only to be from the Bronx, in the Bronx art space, or from around the city?
I'm sorry, something's going on.
Somebody's playing
It's
something.
getting a little funky. That's what it is. We're getting a little funky. So, my question was that, you know, as you know, being that is the Bronx art space and it's in the Bronx, do you encourage, you know, a show that's mainly Bronx artists,
Yes.
or from around? Amen. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
we encourage Bronx Art Space.
Especially for the curatorial call.
Yeah.
In fact, it's kind of a requirement that the majority would be from the Bronx, or a large portion, and that the curator is from the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Or really working there and having to do with the Bronx. Those are the guidelines. And we hope we can do this again. And usually the call would go out in the fall.
Right.
That's, you know, we're just.
We'll see. We'll cross fingers for the fall, Linda.
Yes,
The fall. Right.
We'll see how it looks for everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
like,
You know,
just
for
sitting.
now, the virtual is what's going on, but that's working too. You know, we can't say that the virtual isn't working.
No, that's true. That's absolutely
You know,
right.
you can always go back to see a show. You can always come back and see Memorias, Arte, whoever you want to send it to. I'm very excited to share this extended as well. So that's also a good thing. So that's great that, you know, it's extended in Bronx Art Space. Who would have known, you know, so people can still get to see it, you know.
And it will be in our archive later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It will be on the website archive later on.
Oh, okay.
After it closes.
Okay, yeah. Yes. But I mean, for now, like when people go on the page, they'll see it and stuff. So I'm like, I'm just with that, I'm just like very excited. So I'm glad.
Yeah, and I already checked with Bill Aguado, who is the head of Invoke, and it's fine if we just if we give you the extension now, and then
so June 13th or
yeah.
All right, you hear that, Anjl? You might have to change that post again. June 13th.
Ooh, I'll update that.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's always a good thing. I mean, it
Awesome.
might be virtual, but we did it. We did something. You know what I mean?
Happy
we
for
made
that.
a change with artwork.
Yes.
You know. Yes, exactly. Love. Exactly.
Yeah. So we just
thank you.
See if Jadie comes back. She
hears that too.
Right.
I got.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we was just saying that things are extended through June 13th with the show online. So other than that, you know, everything's looking good, and I'm glad we had our talks.
Yes.
So I guess this week is a good week to get that done. I'm trying to get the videos up on YouTube, ladies. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay. Okay. If you don't have any more questions, then I would wish you just a safe and good Saturday evening, and it was a pleasure to have you, and yeah, good luck for whatever you do in the next months and weeks, and yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anjl.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
God bless you.
Thank